Just one weekend remains in the Valley Baseball regular season schedule, and seeds are still up for grabs as the MVC Baseball Championship approaches May 25 through 28, hosted by Indiana State. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the MVC Baseball First Pitch presented by Rawlings. Derek Dockett alongside Shane Dennis. And Shane, as we look at the conference standings right now, one of the surprises continues to be SIU, now with 30 wins in the season, and pitching has been a key factor for the Salukis in 2016.
It has, and before we go any further, you can go ahead and start engraving Ken Henderson's name on the Coach of the Year. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. They continue to impress, but yeah, there are two starting pitchers, the guys that we see on Friday and Saturday, Michael Baird and Chad Whitmer, not necessarily in that order. Those two guys have really impressed me. I saw them firsthand a couple of weeks ago, and they pitched well again this past weekend against Evansville, led them to their 2 victories. The thing I love about those two guys, they each have 13 starts, and they've combined for 40 walks. Here it is, hit it, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. They've let their defense help them, and frankly, the guys haven't been able to get hits off of them. The nation is hitting 204 against Michael Baird and only a little bit better than that against Whitmer, and they've combined for 15 wins. So, you know, we'll talk about Dallas Baptist here in a second, but I can promise you with the way that the season has gone on and played itself out, nobody is going to want to be in front of Southern Illinois come Terre Haute when they have to deal with those two guys in the conference tournament.
Absolutely. You mentioned Dallas Baptist. They look poised to win the regular season title, controlling their own destiny, needing just one win at Wichita State this coming weekend. But every time we bring up the Patriots, it seems to be that their outstanding individual performances always get some recognition. This week, no different. They got the Valley Pitcher of the Week and National Pitcher of the Week on their squad.
Yeah, it seems like that's old hat for those guys. Derek Hall, we've talked about quite a bit. He's got 16 home runs and 60 runs batted in. But Colin Poche now is a 2-time Valley Pitcher of the Week, and he struck out 14 Missouri State Bears this past weekend in only 6 innings of work. He's now 8-0 on the season, and now eclipses Chad Whitmer's former Valley high in strikeouts for a game. Whitmer back earlier in the season had 12, and now Poche has 14, and he and Dalton Higgins combined to strike out 18. And you talk about them controlling their own destiny. They almost took care of business this past weekend against Missouri State, because if they would have swept, I believe they would have had the number 1 seed outright and not had to worry about it this upcoming weekend in Wichita. But as it stands, if they win one more, they'll get the number 1 seed, and Colin Poche and Derek Hall leading the way. Just before we get off of them, though, hats off to Jake Fromson from Missouri State, and only his second start, 7 solid innings. They salvaged the final game of that series, so now every single team in the league can at least improve their standing just a little bit coming up this weekend.
Absolutely. And the last time we even talked, we mentioned the Redbirds gaining some confidence, playing some games, and this past weekend at home, taking care of 2 or 3 from Wichita State.
Well, one guy came into that series red hot and cooled off a little bit, and that was Sean Beasley. But one guy that caught fire this week and carried it into the Wichita State series was Daniel Dwyer. He went 8 for 16 on the series, and of course, senior weekend for a lot of these teams that are playing their last home games of the weekend. Illinois State fell into that category. And if not for a colossal, huge Wichita State comeback in the middle game of that series, we might be talking about the first ever sweep that the Redbirds take care of Wichita State at Duffy Bass Field. That's still never happened, as Shockers came back from 9 down in the 7th inning to win that middle game. But Beasley and Dwyer, 2 4-year guys in that program, and something we don't really talk about and something that's kind of underappreciated is outfield play. If you hit it to left field or center field against Illinois State, you're out, because those two guys can really go and get it. And in particular, Daniel Dwyer has played his entire Redbird career with exactly 1 error in the outfield. And when you couple that with the fact that those two guys have been hot offensively lately, a lot of good things coming forward for the Illinois State Redbirds potentially in the Valley Tournament if those guys get hot offensively, because they can really go get it defensively.
The regular season wraps up this coming weekend. All teams will play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, wrapping up the regular season. The conference tournament will begin on Wednesday, May 25th in Terre Haute, Indiana, with all the games on the Valley on ESPN3. Shane, before we get there, we'll have to talk next week to talk about maybe the specialty award winners and preview the tournament.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll clue everybody in on what to watch for, and we'll understand it where everybody's seed is, who plays when, and against whom, and it'll be excitement as always in Terre Haute.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you then, and I'll see you in Terre Haute. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been the Rawlings MVC Baseball First Pitch.